With Civil War only 3 days away, the question becomes, whose side are you on? But also, what do I need to know about Spider-Man before jumping into this film? First, let's start at the very beginning. What you're gonna want to read, not all of this is necessary, but I would definitely recommend reading Amazing Fantasy number 15, which is collected in this volume, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man, and the first issue of Spider-Man solo run, Amazing Spider-Man number 1. Now, if you want the entire first 19-20 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, including an annual, what you're gonna want is either the essential version, which it's called Essential Spider-Man Volume 1, but it's black and white. So if that's not your thing, what you're gonna want is this, which is the Amazing Spider-Man Ultimate Epic Collection Volume 1. And that's essentially what you'll need to know about Spider-Man's origin that they might bring up in the film. But you probably already know Spider-Man's origin, but I would definitely recommend this story. Next up is the Amazing Spider-Man Ultimate Collection by JMS. This is Volume 4 of the book. It's about 15 issues long, but not all of it is necessary for the point I'm getting at. But this is essentially, the art is beautiful, by the way. This book develops the relationship between both Peter Parker and Iron Man as a duo, and Peter Parker and Captain America as a duo, as well as some amazing fights with Morlun and so on. But yeah, essentially at the beginning of the book we see that, well, it happened in the last volume, but we pick up with Aunt May, the Parker's house, being burned down, and Peter Parker has no place to live with his wife and aunt. And Tony Stark offers him or Anthony Stark offers him a place at Avengers Tower, so they take it. And yeah, there's a lot of back and forth between Peter Parker and Tony Stark, and a lot of back and forth between Peter Parker and Captain America, and there's a lot of back and forth between Captain America and Mary Jane as well. This is a lot of lead-in for Civil War, in fact, and this actually, we see Tony Stark creating the Iron Spider suit, which is quite famous for being in Civil War, in this book, in this volume. So that Spider-Man Civil War is a good book to read if you want to know what's happening with Spider-Man in Civil War, but it's not necessary. What is necessary, I would say, if you want to jump into the movie, is this book, the actual Civil War comic. And it's about 7 issues. It features very prominently Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man, which are essentially the 3 main characters in this book. And I don't want to give anything away if you haven't read it, but there's some very good dynamics in here. There's some very good character moments for Peter Parker, Iron Man, and Captain America. And I think it's a very good lead-in to Civil War, the movie, of course, being the book that it's based off. One last thing is Ultimate Spider-Man. If you want a more modern adaptation of Peter Parker's origin, then I recommend picking up the first volume of this. You don't necessarily have to get the omnibus if you don't want to, but I recommend picking up Volume 1 of the book, which collects the first 7 issues, and the volume is called Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1, Power and Responsibility. And it can be found pretty cheap online. It can be found at stores. It's a fairly popular book. And it essentially features what the movies are based off, the origin that the movies are inspired by, more so than the original one. It's like what if Spider-Man came around now? What if Spider-Man just started out in the day and age we live in, and that's essentially what Ultimate Spider-Man is. And it's in fact my favorite run on comics, period. Followed pretty closely by a couple of other runs. One honorable mention is the aforementioned Ultimate Collections, Volume 1 through 5, from J. Michael Straczynski. He did an incredible run on Amazing Spider-Man in the early 2000s. But that's just recommended. You don't have to get those if you don't want to. I mean, you don't have to get any of this if you don't want to. But that's some stuff I recommend you get before Civil War, or at least read before jumping into Civil War blind. So, thank you for watching. You don't have to buy any of these books. You could find them online. A comic reader, I definitely recommend you support your local comic book shops and Amazon and whatnot. But seeing as how it's very close to Civil War and you might not have time to do that, definitely do if you can. But there's no way you can get a hold of a physical copy of any of this stuff. HelloComics.com is a beautiful e-reader for comic books, and it's 100% free. You can get essentially any comic you want on there, and get that. But I do recommend getting physical copies of all of these books. So thank you for watching. This is Ethan Ainsworth, and I'll see you guys later.